Hello everyone, it's Adam from the Daubers, and it is my turn today to continue our retro deck series for the upcoming events for the 3 national events this year. My deck today will be focusing on Deidoro Sakaki and taking advantage of his momentum mechanics. So first of all, we'll take a look at Deidoro himself. So Deidoro is a 6 hand size, 27 life. He's got 1 response, 1 spare turn. After your rival makes a check, add the check card to their momentum, your rival rechecks. And enhance twice per turn. If this attack is blocked, your rival commits 1 foundation. If your rival has 1 or more momentum, this attack gets +2 or -2 speed. So, Deidoro is pretty straightforward. He's looking to try and mess up your opponent's checks on the offense and defense, and also take advantage of the fact that I'm having momentum for a wee bit of speed boost twice per turn. We'll be building the deck today on the Evo symbol, so we'll be kicking things off with his actions. So for the actions, we're only running 6 in this deck, and they're probably my 2 favourite from the old standard retro era. We've got 3 copies of Revoke. Revoke is a straightforward cancel to your opponent's enhances. Really useful in the past, and will be again really useful for the retro matchup. There's a lot of powerful enhances, we'd rather just stop. Also useful if it's in your hand in the opening turn, where you can first form it and build it down as a foundation, so it's not just a dead card for you there. We've also got 3 copies of the Deidoro Brothers. Deidoro Brothers are from Yu Yu Hakusho. Another fantastic card. The bit of powerful assets and foundations in retro will be a mainstay. So the ability to cancel and destroy them, just getting rid of them each and every time, will be very helpful for this deck to get rid of a lot of problem pieces we may run into as well. Moving on, we have 4 assets in the deck. 2 copies of each. We've got 2 copies of Eris and Drossel. Eris and Drossel's in here, again because we're taking advantage of our opponent having momentum. Its Desperation Enhance is key, and also for its response because we have quite a few combo abilities. As this card has a Desperation Enhance, I'll just let everyone know who doesn't know already that Desperation is a mechanic, a keyword that kicks in when you have less than half life. So Desperation Enhance on this weapon asset can only be used once you're at less than half life. But it's very powerful. As long as your opponent has the momentum, you can just take their attack and add it to the momentum, completely cancelling it. Unless they themselves have a Revoke to stop you. Next up, we have 2 homemade explosives. This is in here mainly to get rid of our opponent's assets. There'll be a lot of powerful assets on the other side of the board, so a couple of copies of this in here just to get rid of them, we don't have to deal with them. Or to take away powerful pieces for people like Mimic, this could be very good. So that wraps up our assets. Moving on here, we have our attacks. Now this deck has 20 attacks, and we're focusing mainly on Fury weapon attacks and quite a few combo abilities in here as well. Now, this is where the plan of our deck comes together. We're looking to take advantage of our opponent having momentum and giving them momentum throughout the course of the game for our own benefit. So, to start with, we have 2 copies of Varus Unchained. A wee 3 difficulty, 0 high mid breaker 2, so very good on the defense, but its main reason it's in here is for its actual ability. So it has a static ability. Whilst it's in our card pool, all other cards in our card pool gain this enhance. The enhance being, your attack is +1 damage for each of your opponent's momentum. So, we should always have +1 damage on this when Sakaki's ability is triggered, but when you see the rest of the deck, you see to get +1, +2, +3, +4, you can start racking up the damage quite a lot just off this wee card by itself. Now, it's only in a 2 of because it is a weapon, and we're mostly on the Fury keyword for this deck with one of our final cards and the other combo abilities here. Next, we have 3 copies of Scratch Glissando. Scratch Glissando is being one of our first 4 diff attack. It is also a reversal here. So, again, for those who may have missed our last videos, reversal is a response keyword during the block step. So the simplest way to explain this is a reversal would happen after you successfully block your opponent's attack and your opponent does not safe keyword. You may respond and play this attack from your hand during your opponent's turn. Scratch Glissando could be very good on the reversal because it's very disruptive, as its combo ability lets us take a foundation away from them at the cost of one of our own, and lets them also stick one of their momentum into the card pool face down, clogging up, breaking up combos, making their turn a bit harder, so it's very good on the reversal. Next, we have 2 copies of Snare Boulder Crush. Now, Snare Boulder Crush is one of our payoffs for giving our opponent quite a bit of momentum. It is a combo again on Fury, but that's going to combo off with most of our deck, and it's also got Powerful 3. Now, you might be wondering how it goes and is one of our payoff pieces. It's enhanced. It lets us use our opponent's momentum as our momentum for its powerful ability, meaning that after you've given them 2, 3, 4 momentum, you can take it all off them before their turn and dump it all into Snare Boulder Crush, meaning that they can come back and hit them for quite a lot of damage, and also we can give it speed as well off of Deidoro's ability. This can be 7 high for 12 damage at certain times if we have all the right pieces together. Our next 2-ob attack is going to be Peregrine Rhythm. Now Peregrine Rhythm is a desperation attack, so if you are at less than half health, it'll go from being a 4 difficulty to a 3 difficulty, and it's also in here as another one of our combo furies. Now its ability, if it deals damage, your opponent loses life for each of their momentum. Doesn't have the clause where it can't kill them, so it could just be the extra damage we need to get in to get them. Its combo ability can be quite strong, as your opponent checks at -1 for the rest of the turn, so it's a check hack for the whole turn. And that's just on comboing off of most of the other attacks in the deck itself, so very easy to get on our attack strings. The next set of 4, and the only set of 4 attacks in the deck you should all probably be very familiar with, is Vile Seizing. Now, even going back through Old Standard and Retro, Evil Fury attacks on a 4 diff, this is probably the best one that's kicking around. So bringing in 4 copies of Vile Seizing for a combo, for its own ability, breaker and its deadlock ability, is all just something we're looking for here. So it was a 4-ob very easily to put into the deck. Next, we go on to our 3-obs again. We've got Takedown. Now Takedown is a 2 low 4 damage attack that is very reminiscent of Ignited Arrow, which is from the Endeavour kit from a starter set. Now whereas Endeavour's attack is caring about being blocked and getting to dig for an attack, Takedown is the opposite. If Takedown isn't blocked, we get to dig for an attack in our deck, meaning that it's the opposite way around. We're looking to give a wee bit of speed, make sure we've got a wee bit of damage on it if our opponent can't get a low block in hand, and we can go and find another big combo attack to keep going. As a bit of an extender, and also a desperation attack again, we can get this in late on in the chain if need be. First up on our 5 difficulty attacks is Bleak Concerto Finale. Bleak Concerto is going to be a 3-off in our deck with a 2 check, so it's going to have a big payoff here. Its first ability is your opponent discards an entire momentum and loses one life for each momentum they discard. This again can just kill them on the spot because it doesn't have a clause where it can't reduce them below 0. So if they have 4, 5, 6 momentum, you can just take them, play this one card, play his enhance, they lose the game straight away. Its combo ability is where it gets a bit mental though, as they add the top 2 cards of their deck to their momentum, and this attack gets plus X speed and plus X damage, X equaling your opponent's momentum. So playing 1 or 2 of these in a row means it's getting +2, +2, +4, +4, on top of all the other momentum you may have already given them throughout their turn. So this can be a really big hit and the big finisher for the deck. Lastly, as a 1-of, we have the old alt win con in the game from the Cowboy Bebop era. We have Distraction Destruction. Now it's a 1 check, so we're running a 1-of 1 check in the deck, but alt win con means it can just win the game for us. It in itself is a 4 low 8, so it's a big hit. We can make that 6 low 8, being 2 off the Deidoro. Also debuilds your opponent. If they have 2 momentum, they must add 2 of their foundations to their momentum, and its alt win con ability is E. If your opponent has 8 momentum, you win the game. So unless they can stop that in some way, you just win on the spot, then you move on to the second game. So that's all of our attacks for the deck itself. We're moving on to the foundations. Now if you've seen the previous videos from Murray, I'll be doing the same thing here, and I shall lump the 0s and 1 foundations into the spam category, so we can run through them quickly. So starting off our 0 difficulty foundations, we've got Most Trusted Assassin. This is in here just for, it's mainly its first ability where we lose a life for your opponent's next check, playing attack is -1. On face, once per turn, a little bit of breaker in there for your opponent's strings to make the life a wee bit harder. Hell's Reach is also in here, just to extend your own strings or help block, as it's E-flip, ready itself. So just a solid wee card to keep going with. And then Profaning Sanctuary is the last 0 diff. It is mainly here to stop stacking, as back in the old days there was quite a few decks that would stack the top of the deck and gain advantage from it. It can take that away and discard the top 2, so for anyone that didn't like Giro, this is our old spam answer. And we also have Response Flip. If your opponent plays a breaker ability, cancel it, so we can't get interrupted on our own strings. Next are our 1 diff foundations. Now we do have 3 sets of foundations that are 1 diff 6 check. So the first one is Arranging a Deal. So this is 1 diff 6 check, 2 mid block, so solid block zone here. And we also have Desperation E, flip, draw a card. So for getting low in life, we just want card draw, this is there for it. Next up we have a set of 4, the Azure Nightmare. Again, 1 diff 6 check. This is here because it can ready itself. It's got E, discard a card, ready itself. And also, if it is discarded, your opponent loses a life. And if it's stunned due to a stun ability, your opponent loses 2 life. However, the abilities in this card cannot reduce your opponent to 0 vitality. So you can't win just off a wee foundation being committed. Last of our 1 diff 6 checks is Orphaned Alchemist. It's in here for its top ability, for enhancing flipping, to look at the top card of your deck to see if you can continue your chain or block here. And its bottom response, means if your opponent is trying to remove cards from your discard pile or your deck, you can cancel that at any point, which means Fatality and other cards like it can be stopped by this foundation. Lastly, for the 1 diff, we have New Empress of Netherrealm. This is here mainly just for its ability to draw. It's an E flip, lose 3 life, draw card. So straightforward, looking to dig a wee bit more, we'll spend some life to keep going with our attacks. So from the 1 diffs we move on to our 2 difficulty foundations, and there's quite a few of them in the deck itself. So first of all we have Aphidophobia. Aphidophobia should be recognisable to you as it is just wall climb. It's E flip, this attack deals no damage, so just go wall climb if we're needing it. We also have Face of a Monster. Face of a Monster is an old good card from Mortal Kombat. It has got 3 abilities on it. It can only be played once each turn. It's got a responsibility, so after attack is played at -1 speed, and you lose life, you have another -1 speed. Deadlock form, your opponent discards a card. Desperation is E, changes attack to any other zone. That means that this card is good in almost any situation of the game on defense, and also good in your turn for helping you get in there or taking cards out of your opponent's hand. So very good and not unique, so you can have both copies out at once. We've also got Last of Its Kind. This again is a card that has an ability at every point in the game. We can lose life, give our opponent -4 damage to an attack to a minimal 1. Desperation to give our own attacks damage, and Deadlock to give our attacks even more damage. So if we get to that stage in the game, bottle power off of 1 foundation. Next up we have a card you should be familiar with again, it's Citywide Crisis. This is here if your opponent is drawing excessively and want to stop it, or for helping reset the speed of an attack. After that we have Cooperation Offer. Again a card we should be familiar with here, this is just for the -3 speed. Resetting the zone that attack is coming from could be useful if Mirio is coming back to the retro deck, or Kami and a couple other characters might be getting played as well, so could be still a solid card for this format. And then we move on to one of the strongest foundations in the deck, that's True Identity. This is here for its form ability. Form commit, your checks the play attacks you +1 for the rest of the turn. Solid include, and you want it in your open hand as much as you possibly can. It's unique, so there's only a couple here, but we do want to see that as often as we can to make sure we can check away into attack strength without committing as many foundations. And then we have Outwards Heiress. This is here initially just for showing up the low block zones, but also has 2 very solid abilities. The Enhance Remove, lose X life, X being the difficulty or not asset or foundation on your opponent's side of the board, and add it back to hand, so you can get rid of a problem piece. And as a response, lose X life and cancel a stun rating. So that could be very good as well with a lot of stun heavy decks that could exist in retro. And then lastly for the 2 diffs, another card we should be familiar with is Looking for a Challenge. This is here in case we need to get stunned out, get +3 to the next check. And we're playing 5 difficulty attacks late in the string with Bleach and Shatter Finale, so getting +2 to the check can really help us get there and end the game. And lastly, we've got 1 3 diff in this deck so far, we just have Sticky Balls. Here's a wee bit of Clog and a wee bit of -4 speed. Just a simple one-off in the deck though. Okay, so that's the full main deck finished. We just have the 10 card sideboard. So, for the sideboard here, it is mostly assets, attacks, and a couple of foundations. So we'll start off with the other assets here. So first of all, we've got another copy of Homemade Explosives. If your opponent is heavy on the assets game, such as Mimic, or other characters that like them, bringing another Homemade Explosive could be really good, just to threaten and get rid of the good ones on their side of the board. We have 1 copy of Eri. Eri's just good for keeping us alive. So 1 copy against a third party rest of the deck could be the difference between life and death for us there. And lastly, we have Maze Castle. Maze Castle looks really familiar to everyone right now because it's just Twisty Surroundings back in its original version, but has a 0 mid block Silver Breaker 2. Still the same, discard of momentum, changes zone to either this attack to any zone. Both players can use it, and response commit to -2 the check. For our attacks, we have 4. First up, we have another copy Distraction Destruction. This is in here if we realise that our opponent doesn't have an efficient way to spend momentum. We can get an extra copy Distraction in the deck and try and close out the game quicker with our all-win comp here. But we don't want to put 2 on the main board, as it can be a bit of a bad payoff sometimes if your opponent does have an efficient or small momentum spender that they can keep going through. Then we have 3 Flame Aura. Flame Aura itself, copying card. Now the main reason here is for the defense and offense. So whenever you block with this card, you reduce the speed of that attack to 0, and then you have a 1 high block at that point. But after an attack is blocked during the turn, your opponent loses 1 life. So you can start with this attack if you need to after sideboarding it in, combo off it. Every time your opponent blocks one of your attacks, they're losing a life anyway, and that can also kill them if it gets there. And lastly, we have 2 copies of Spaceland. Spaceland is here for as if we go too far into giving our opponent too much momentum, they can use it too well. It's respond commit. After your opponent gains some momentum during the combat phase, discard 2 momentum. So this can be here just to keep taking their momentum off them if we find out that we've got a bad strategy or a bad matchup against them. Okay, so that is my Deidoro Sakaki deck for the retro events coming up before Nationals. If you like the deck, please let me know. If you have any other good cards or thoughts on it, please let me know in the comments as well. But thank you very much for joining me here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.